Good evening and thank you for joining us. Carly, we're looking at that sports headline there, and it's like, I guess, with college finishes earlier, so they start their provincials sooner too. So I guess we've seen the college people already do their provincials, and now it's time for the high schoolers.
Yeah, that's right. And Holy Rosary, who's made this trip before, this is now their third go at this opportunity, and they're building off some momentum. So hopefully they can carry that through and get the job done this year.
Fantastic. Well, we wish them best of luck. And Gerard, just continuing on with what's been a really great week, I guess, really in terms of the weather.
Yep, it's really warming up and so on. We just had some overcast conditions to deal with today, and I think we've gone through pretty well, all right? So let's see what we're dealing with right about now, how it's been. Overcast conditions persisting. We're at -1. That was our high temperature today at about 3 o'clock. We got to that point. 83% humidity. The wind's out of the northeast at the moment at about 24 kilometers an hour, and that wind chill at -7. Let's compare across the region to the Lakeland. They're also at -1. The Battleford's at +1, and as well, those overcast conditions augur for some precipitation later on. We'll talk about that in our second look at the cast. Meantime, Jacob, it's back to you.
RCMP in Lac-La-Biche are investigating what members now consider a homicide. Yesterday's autopsy results confirm 28-year-old Jason Ward of Lac-La-Biche passed away last Sunday as a result of a stabbing. RCMP and EMS responded on March 13th to a rural residence and found Ward with what appeared to be stab wounds and 4 other people at the home. Ward was transported to hospitals in Lac-La-Biche and Edmonton, but died later that day. RCMP said the investigation continues and ask anyone with information to contact the Lac-La-Biche detachment or anonymously to Crime Stoppers. This week, the Alberta government announced a change to their foreign worker immigration policy. Skilled temporary workers can now apply directly to the Immigrant Nominee Program instead of having to go through their employers. Alberta's Minister of Employment believes a perfect storm is coming. Boomers are retiring, Canada's natural growth rate is close to zero, our economy is forecast to grow, and finally we have a tremendous appetite for services. Streamlining the process for foreign workers to attain permanent residence should help the province weather the next decade and beyond.
Our primary focus always will be on Albertans and Canadians, making sure that they have the skills and the first ability to take the jobs that are available. But at the end of the day, we know that we will be short many workers in all skill sets.
Sometimes employers that do recruit foreign workers get some negative feedback for not hiring Canadian, but they must first prove they're able to get the workers they need.
Not all of the jobs and skilled employees that we're looking for are readily available. So in our Lloydminster communities, our employers have gone out and sought temporary foreign workers. Having the change in the program will allow them to be able to invest in their employees long term.
The number of foreign workers brought in is set by Ottawa, and this year 5,000 can be nominated. Another goal of the policy change is making sure the right people with the right skills get those nominations. But our economy is intricately interconnected, so there will be benefits in all employment sectors.
If our hotels are able to provide the services for retail and hospitality so that they can support the oil field and oil production work that's going on, it's just a big circle. And if everybody can support by having the employees available and resources available, then we'll all benefit in the long term.
And they do mean long term. Ultimately, the goal is to ensure that there's less rotation of workers. There must be foreign workers, and it's better for all involved if they're able to stay more easily.
Much rather prefer to have someone that meets the criteria just stay here, perhaps, and become a Canadian, invest in our economy, buy cars or houses here, as opposed to be here as a guest worker and keep sending remittances back home.
Employers interested in seeing how the process can affect them, or people interested in designated trades, call the number or visit the website on your screen. The Lloydminster chapter for the MS Society is encouraging Border City residents to come out for their annual walk on April 16th. Their goal is to raise $190,000 this year, and with the number of participants dwindling compared to previous years, they're going to need all the help that they can get. Kathy Lee had a chance to sit down with one MS Walk participant who's been involved in the walk for 7 years.
Yeah. Do that again.
Karen Weber remembers the day her life changed forever.
I was getting a numb feeling in my foot and in my toes, and it took probably 3 or 4 MRIs before they realized that it was MS.
Weber has found the positive side to her circumstance and is grateful to be able to still contribute to society.
I thought, this is something that I can overcome. I can work and still keep a job and still have a lot of life ahead of me.
And with other members to help support the MS Walk to raise money for programming and aid equipment for those with the disease.
Lloydminster has such a high population per capita of people who are affected by MS. We want to make sure that we can provide to them, health advice, swimming, any kind of exercise program for them.
Registered participants this year are just over half of numbers from last year, but Nikki Walker-Dufault is optimistic.
We have some good news because in the last 2 days we've had a real turnaround. We've had about 42 people come forward and register just in 2 days. So now we're about par with what we were last year. And that's very exciting because I was very worried that we were going to be low on numbers.
She says changing the date of the walk earlier and bad weather could be the reason for the decrease in numbers.
I said myself, you know, I go to work and then I go home and I hide my house. It was minus 40. I think that was a big effect. Nobody wants to be going door to door asking for pledges when it's that cold.
But for Weber, cold temperatures will not stop her from fundraising.
I encouraged other businesses around downtown to challenge them to see if they could earn as much money before the walk as we did.
Kathy Lee, Newcap News.
Soldiers at CFB Wainwright literally brought out the big guns this week. Today they're finishing a 50 caliber machine gunner's course. The qualification isn't mandatory for all soldiers, but as Whitney Stinson reports, more than 20 men jumped at the chance to become certified on this powerful weapon.
For most of these soldiers, this is their first time firing the 50 caliber machine gun.
It's actually a good, I've got a good impression. It's a good feeling. You can actually feel it right through you when it fires.
On the range, each gun requires 3 soldiers to effectively operate it. 1 to fire, 1 to guide the ammo, and the gun controller is the one in charge. He designates which target to shoot and the rate of fire.
Number 1 gun, rapid fire!
In the field, this is ideally how every one of these machines is safely operated.
The number 2 may get what we call tunnel vision and may not see exactly when targets of opportunity arise, or he may be focused on one target and a more dangerous target arises.
Release! Release!
This is a mandatory course if you're a combat arms soldier, but here, there's a mix of jobs that don't require gunner courses at all.
We're soldiers first in the Army, whether you're a cook, a supply tech, like I said, a clerk, whatever. So you never know what's going to happen if you're in the field of theater or anything. So I guess being soldier first, you got to hone your skills and everything. So it's actually pretty important.
The soldiers have to be prepared to shoot in all different types of conditions, and night shooting is part of the course. The paraflares light up the area. They practice with and without this help of light.
They can't see the targets. So what we do is we do what's called a mark and record. And on our traversing bar on the back of the tripod, you can see it. It's got a scale, I guess, a numbered scale so that they can, in the daytime, they'll record targets or record areas of interest, so that in the nighttime, all they have to do is see the traversing bar and put the same information that they recorded in the daytime on the traversing bar at night, and they'll be on target.
The flashes of red here are called tracer bullets. They fire 1 every 5 rounds to make sure they're on course. The soldiers say this scene can feel like a Star Wars movie and make anyone regain their youth.
I feel like a kid. Actually, I turn back into my infant, like if I was a 5-year-old kid and I was just having fun.
About 1,500 rounds later, these soldiers can walk away with the qualification of being a 50 caliber machine gunner. Whitney Stinson, Newcap News.
I'll eat well, live well. Most adults know this, but getting kids to form the right habits when it comes to food is the mandate of one local school program. We'll have that story and more coming up after the break.